Heyo, what is up YouTube? And today we're going to be talking about the top 5 SR or purple units you can get in the game and why they're so good and where you can actually use them in. Now keep in mind that this ranking is just my opinion. You guys are free to disagree, just let me know in the comments down below so I could take into account what you guys think and use that for my next video. So let's get started with the top 5 here for SR characters. Before we get started though, let's actually talk about 2 honorable mentions. The first one we're going to talk about is Sonya. She's a free-to-play character. You get her at like level 4 or level 5, I believe, on your account. And she is a beast. She has a turn cycling S1, which makes her cycle very quickly. She also has pretty decent speed, so she'll cycle turns very fast. She also has this amazing passive at the end of her turn if she's not stunned. Basically what she does is she heals 2 people and also purifies 1 debuff from both of them, and the healing increases based off of the health she loses. And also she has a revive, a single target revive that also gives her a stacking max HP buff, which makes her super tanky. So it makes it so that if you're PvPing with her even, that she can be a great anchor to revive your characters. This also will heal someone if it doesn't revive, and if you revive someone, the cooldown on this goes up to 5 turns instead of 3. So she's a very good healer at the start of the game. People think that she falls off into the late game, however she's very good in PvP. She's also good in Ethernet Rally right now as a green healer. There's not a lot of good green healers currently. And also she is pretty solid in a lot of areas of content where you just need a lot of dispelling and cleansing. There's a lot of bosses, like random bosses that you might fight in like Anasync Echoes or Ember Treks, such as Sharon, where she's very good. You can also just use her in Sharon in general, and she's also pretty decent in Aurora if you need a good, not Aurora, a Doki Doki if you need like a good early game healer. She does fall off later on in Doki Doki, but she's good early game, just a solid early game healer overall, and she definitely shines where you need a lot of cleansing. If you're from Epic 7, she's kind of like Angelic Montmorency in a way, so she's like pretty good in that regard. Another honorable mention before we start the top 5 for real is Chiaki the Echo. She has great turn cycling in her S3. She has a 2-turn attack buff for your entire team, a turn meter push, and she also can give them Ave Maria if you already have an attack buff. So if you bring her with another attack buffer, it's not the end of the world. Basically, your turn meter cannot be reduced or stolen, and you'll also give other people turn meter at the end of your turn. So she's just permanently cycling not only her team, but they're also cycling each other, which is crazy. She also has this passive, so before her turn, if she's not stunned or slept, she will give a 2-turn attack buff to 3 random allies, so basically your entire team unless you're in a 5-man team. And if you already have attack buff, you get Ave Maria again. And their S1 is a single target attack that will cleanse 1 debuff from an ally with the most debuff. So she's a pretty good turn cycling attack buffer. The only downside to her kit, as you guys might notice, is she has no healing, but you can honestly just put her on a shell known as Artisan and she'll be fine. She can sustain your team because she cycles super quickly, and then she also can purify debuffs. Artisan basically gives your team and herself like 1 unit on your team and then the holder a shield at the end of their turn, and it's pretty big, so you can see why it could synergize very well with her kit. And then at number 5 here, we have Gray. So Gray's going to start the top 5 for us at the bottom, and he's a very good character. You get him for free as well, and he's very good because he has this crit rate buff, which makes your units easier to gear. Capping your crit is like the hardest thing in like every single gacha game in the early game, and he makes it just 30% easier. Also, he has an AoE defense down, which is insane. Basically, he's like all you want in his support. He can buff your team with like the best buff in the early game, which is crit chance, and he has the best damage dealing debuff in the game, which is defense down. Very good in Doki Doki. You can use him into Inferno if you'd like. He does get outclassed by other green supports later on, like Kloss, for example, is what he does, but better. But, he does decent damage on top of this support, so if you're looking for like a DPS support character, Gray is great. And if you just need a good defense down character, he's super good. It's a 2-turn defense down, not 1 turn, so he's amazing. And his damage isn't the worst in the world. It's not the best, he can't be a primary damage dealer, but he's a good secondary DPS with a lot of support capabilities that you can bring in a lot of blue content, such as Doki Doki, and in general content because of how versatile his kit is. At the number 4 spot, we have Dinah. So Dinah is an amazing defense breaker as well. She kind of fits the same role as Gray would on a team comp because she has an AoE defense down, defense break as well. But hers is gonna be like a super defense break. Basically, If you have like a defense break already, you'll actually apply vulnerable, which will make you take even more damage. And if you already have vulnerable, you'll get erosion, which will make the next attack on that character take even more damage. And the best part about this is her S3, this AoE defense down, hits 4 times. So you can defense down into vulnerable into erosion in the same turn, which is crazy. And this just makes your damage dealers super juiced up and do a ton of damage. And she also has this S2, which also applies erosion, so just an insane character. She cycles very quickly with her S1. Her speed is pretty good, and her effect accuracy is also very good. And she's just a very strong defense down character. That's all you really bring her for, but she's like one of the best in the game in the SR slot. Very good in Termaton, very good in Aurora if you pair her with something that can dispel the immunity off the boss, and just good in any content where you want like a huge defense down, like a juiced up defense down. Her and Gray kind of fight for the same spot, so it's really up to you. I wouldn't really build both of them. I'd probably just build one. You'll most likely build Gray first, and then once you build Dinah, you'll probably see yourself using Gray a little bit less as you get better gear for crit chance. But Dinah is just amazing. She's used in 2 of the 3 thresholds, even into Inferno. She's very good. So one of the best characters in the game for defense downing and supporting. Also just good in a lot of content that's green. So you can kind of see, Gray is like the green version of Dinah, and Dinah is like the red version of Gray in some regards. So you can kind of think of it like that. Just a very powerful support character overall. And now at the number 3 spot, we have Kazuyo the Reverie. So a lot of people initially thought this character is just a Doki Doki slave because she has that AoE sleep with attack down, which is super good because Doki Doki waves do a lot of damage. And she just has this S1 sleep, which is whatever. Mostly people just looked at her because of her S3. But this character is amazing in PvE and amazing in PvP. It's pretty insane. Anywhere you want CC, so for example, like Shadow Flame Hoyan, the shell farming Grim Pursuit, she's amazing. She can solo CC both the ads by herself if she's fast enough with her S3 and S2. The S1, not S2, S3 and S1. The S1 has a 2-turn sleep, which is amazing and super broken. And if you S3 targets that are already slept, they get pushed back even more because of her S2, which is crazy, right? You don't remove the sleep either. So she's very good in Doki Doki, very good in Shadow Flame Hoyan. There's a lot of random areas she's good in. She's good in like Sharon as well to CC the ads by herself. And in PvP, she is a menace, right? She has this AoE sleep and attack down, which really cripples the entire enemy side, even damage dealers if the sleep misses because of the attack down. And if you pair her with something like a Lily, which not everyone has, but if you do, she can literally solo CC with the follow-up attacks from Lily. And it's a 2-turn sleep, right? So Lily attacks one on her turn, Kazuyo Reverie sleeps one, then on Kazuyo's turn she sleeps a different one, and then when Lily takes her other turn she sleeps like the 3rd one, and then Kazuyo sleeps the 4th one, and suddenly there's like 4 people that are slept, right? And if you start the battle with your S3 and sleep everything on the enemy side, you're pretty much guaranteed to take 2 turn cycles, so you can just keep those 4 members permanently slept. It's super, super toxic, and she's really good in PvP for that reason, especially right now. And in PvE, she's amazing. You'll need her for Doki Doki and Inferno, like for sure, so she's like a must build no matter what. But she's like insane in a lot of areas of content. Obviously, she doesn't have anything outside of her sleep besides this attack down, which isn't like the biggest reason why you bring her. But the sleep is super strong against like any like trash mobs around bosses that can actually be CC'd. One of the better one of the better SRs for sure. That's why she's top 3. And she's just amazing at CCing ads and also very good in PvP, surprisingly. Next up in the number 2 spot, we have Valerian. So Valerian is one of the best sustained supports in the game, not because she actually sustains, but because she has this S3 that is crazy strong, right? So her S3, it's deep sleep. It gives her Hazy Dream. If you max this out, you start the battle with Hazy Dream as well, which is pretty much needed. You need to max this to play her actually at level 5. And basically what Hazy Dream does is she's immune to CC, which is really good. And also when an ally starts their turn, Valerian gives them a shield equal to her max health and a random buff that they don't have. So this is amazing. And also this Hazy Dream effect is super strong because basically when an ally is about to die, does it even say it here? I don't even know if it does, at the bottom. When an ally is about to die, Valerian is healed for 20% of her max HP and ends Hazy Dream. So she has like a cheat death built in. I do believe that this is worded wrong. I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure she saves people from death as well. So it's not just Valerian that gets healed, she heals the ally, I'm like 99% sure, because I'm pretty sure that's what it does. I've never really read this before, but I've always thought that she cheat deaths for her entire team, right? Let me know if I'm wrong. But basically she has a cheat death for everyone, I think. And then she's like super strong because of that. You can bring her into Inferno Terramaton. You can bring her into a lot of Inferno shell runs. Anything where you're trying to speed clear and you don't want to like bring a healer, she's the best support for it because she has 2 cheat deaths, right? One at the start of battle, and then one when she activates her S3 again. So she has like 2 hazy dreams going on. Also on top of that, she has this really good invincibility, very, very strong, and also it has to heal over time. So she has some healing. If you're below 50%, you get 2 turns of heal over time, which is good. And she has a random like slumber on her S1, which can be useful in some situations, but not really. Basically, she's super good, like I mentioned in PvE. If you don't know, like if you're dying to Doki Doki and Terramaton like very early on into the fight, if you bring Valerian, you'll stop dying, 100%. That's how good she is. People use her in Doki Doki and Terramaton Inferno like all the time, even now, and at the start of the game. And if you like have bad gear, she will make it so that you can live through the first 2 turns no matter what and get your damage off, so she's like extremely powerful. Also good in PvP as like a solid anchor against like cleavers because she can stop deaths. And she's also just a very powerful overall unit for a lot of content because of her S3, right? The buffs are great, the shield's great, and the cheat death is amazing. So yeah, that's why she's at the number 2 spot. And then we're going to talk about the number 1 spot, which shouldn't really surprise anyone, to be honest. And here we have it. We have Diting. So usually DPSs don't get ranked like at the top, like at number 1, because they're very one-dimensional usually. They just do damage. And that is what Diting does, right? Just single target damage. He has an S3, pretty simple. He just hits really hard and attacks with his S1 right after. His S1's a single target attack with a chance for vulnerable, which doesn't matter because you're not running any effect accuracy on him ever. And he has a passive that gives him crit chance whenever he like marks the lowest HP target. Every turn he marks a target that's lowest health percentage, and he gets increased crit against them, and the excess crit you get gets converted into crit damage, so none of it's wasted, right? Basically just looks like he's a pure damage dealer. How can he be that strong? Well, his damage is just out of the world. It's freaking insane. This guy does crazy single targets, like one of the highest single target bursts in the game. And if you pair him with like an attack buffer and against like a defense down, he can one-shot a lot of bosses in the game, especially on Hell mode. So if you're doing like Hell Nico Nana, Hell Shadow Flame Hoyan, Hell Rengatsu, I think that's what it's called, and the other one, if you bring him with like Beyonce, something that buffs his attack, and then like Kloss, something that defense breaks, he can literally one-shot the boss if you have good gear on him. That's how strong his single target burst is. He's very good in like Union boss, he's very good. Actually, let's be honest, he's pretty much good everywhere. The only area of content you don't really want to bring him into is like Doki Doki, but everywhere else you can literally slot him in and he's good. If there's too many like waves of mobs though, like Doki Doki has, then he's not that great because he's purely single target. But against like boss fights, like pure boss fights, this guy is the best damage dealer, and he's an SR. And he's element neutral, which makes him even better. He's a dark unit, so he doesn't have to worry about, the elements fighting against him. So just a super, super powerful character that you definitely have to build if you have him. A lot of people don't have him still because he is LD, so he's like light dark, so he's harder to get technically. And it's okay, you can use other characters in place of him, but he's so good in like Terramaton and Aurora, and the element neutral thing makes him super strong. Once you do get him though, you should definitely build him. You can swap him in, and he's super easy to build. That's like the best part because, yeah, you get a ton of crit chance for free. If you have already some crit chance, it turns into crit damage. So very powerful character. You can literally run him with 4 supports and he can kill bosses for you. Definitely strong. There's so many memes about him getting nerfed. That's how strong he is, because people are always scared, thinking he's gonna get nerfed because he's that OP. So yeah, that's Diting for you, rank 1. But yeah, this is pretty much it for the top 5 SR character tier list. If I left out any of your favorite characters that you think should be mentioned here, or at least, even be mentioned in honorable mentions, you can actually just let me know in the comments down below and I'll think about it next time. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys next time.